If you're anything like us, you've been quietly marveling at Monster Hunter World ever since its release. Marveling at how pretty it is, how vast it is, and how charmingly confusing a lot of it is. In many ways, we love that it doesn't handhold, but instead gives you the keys to its huge kingdom, boots you out the door and into the wilderness, and just lets you get on with it. But when it comes to the game's main hub area, where you'll spend a sizable chunk of your time preparing for quests, forging armor, chatting to locals, moving house, and expanding your aquarium, a few pointers wouldn't really go amiss. So, here are 10 things you didn't know you could do in Monster Hunter World's hub. One of the most important areas in the Monster Hunter World main headquarters is the Resource Center. As you might have noticed, doing certain actions when you're out in the world, like interacting with monster tracks, picking up rarer items, and discovering viable camp locations, contribute to various progress bars. Here at the Resource Center, you can turn those into rewards by registering bounties and investigations, and completing deliveries. If this all sounds confusing, it is a bit, but it doesn't have to be. Basically, bounties are easy, non-monster specific activities that you can chip away at while working on bigger quests. Like finding a certain amount of insects, or interacting with bone piles, or mining a set amount of ore deposits. You'll unlock these from quest givers in Astera or out in expeditions, but you need to set active bounties manually, so make sure to always have a few on the go so you're always working towards completing them in the background. Completing deliveries is like working through bounties, but they're a bit more like fetch quests, where you'll need to collect a certain amount of items. These need to be manually handed in and are especially useful as they can unlock unique things like new campsites throughout the game's maps. At the Resource Center, you can also toggle which investigation missions you want to be able to take on from the quest board. Investigations update regularly as you explore and learn more about the world, so make sure to choose a wide range of tasks that suit your skill level, and replace ones you no longer need with ones that grant rewards and resources you have your eye on. Though you can only take on one investigation at a time from the quest board, it can be useful to group them from the Resource Center by area, as you can then complete one, return to that area's campsite, and then accept the next investigation from there instead of bouncing between different area maps and the HQ every single time. Also worth noting is that across from the Resource Center is a guy perched on top of a massive pile of provisions, from whom you can sell random items that you've picked up, or buy items that you need to craft traps, bombs, ammo, and ammo coatings. It's usually not really worth selling stuff in Monster Hunter World, but it's just a handy little fallback to keep in mind if you're missing an ingredient and need a quick fix. Monster Hunter World's main hub is a sprawling, maze-like structure spread out over several different areas and levels with huge stairwells linking them all together. It's never explicitly pointed out, but there is a handy shortcut to get from place to place without having to jog it in, up or down a huge staircase every single time. The chain-like structures that you'll find tucked into the sides of each level are actually lifts that will take you wherever you need to go, much faster than actually running there yourself. You can flip between the trade yard, the canteen, the workshop, the waterfall bridge, and the gathering hub, which is the only place in the save zone you can meet up with your buddies. And, speaking of which, meeting up with friends at the Gathering Hub is a great way to get organised before heading out on an expedition or a quest together, but there are other ways to pass the time. Not only is there a separate canteen here where you can chow down, as well as a shop, a quest counter, and arena sign-ups, you can simultaneously settle age-old disputes and give your tapping finger a workout at the arm wrestling barrel. After that, or if you just need to unwind after a hard day's hunt, you can have a few jars and bend everyone's ear about that time you took down an Anjanath in your pyjamas with nothing but a toothpick. How it got in your pyjamas, we may never know. Sláinte. And once you've finally sobered up, oh, watch it, there's always time for a prance-off. Before you stagger off to bed, be sure to check out the squads area in the Gathering Hub too. This feature feels a little bit half-baked at the moment, but it basically functions a bit like a guild or clan, in that you can form a club, pick a name, message, and symbol that will be displayed next to your username above your head, and you can invite other players to join so you can group up in a session and find allies a bit more easily. The problem is, you can only invite other players that are actually online and in your player session, so you can't send any out in advance to mates who can then sign up later when they next log in. Hopefully this whole experience will be improved at a later date, but there's no reason not to at least get a head start and create your squad now. In your house, you'll find your item chest, a little corner for your palico to hang out, and a second palico, a housekeeper who can perform a number of very useful tasks. First of all, talking to the housekeeper will grant you access to the training area, a handy little space where you can get to grips with new weapon types and practice your combos on some unsuspecting barrels. This is the ideal place to take a newly forged or upgraded item and get nice and comfy with how it works before unleashing it upon the local fauna. There are also a few ledges and vines, presumably so you can squeeze a cheeky bit of cardio in there as well. The best thing your housekeeper can do for you, however, is a little less obvious at first. In your pouch inventory, you should have an item called a capture net. Equipping this with square should map it to your left and right triggers, replacing the slinger controls temporarily. This net, though far too small to be used on any big monster targets, can be used to net most of the smaller animals that populate the new world. The birds, the magic jellyfish, the weird wiggly worms, the monkey rabbit things, even ant colonies. Some of these can be harder to catch than you might think, however, as a lot of the smaller creatures are pretty skittish and scarper if you get too close. So make sure to use the crouch button and sneak up on whichever critters take your fancy. Once you've stuffed a few of these in your pockets, go back to the housekeeper and they'll give you the option of releasing one of your newfound pets into your room. Though they do caution that your roommates might get a little bit upset at sharing their space with a dung beetle, which is fair enough really. If your heart is absolutely set on a pet dung beetle though, name suggestions in the comments, there is one more handy service that your housekeeper can provide for you. In the early stages of the game, you'll probably have walked by a passageway up near the stairs to the canteen that was unhelpfully blocked off by a palico. Once you've completed the assigned quest, one for the history books however, talk to your housekeeper and they'll suggest that the reward of a bit of prime real estate is on the cards for putting your life on the line in defense of the new world. Select the option to move to a new home and you'll wave goodbye to your suspiciously anti-dung beetle housemates and move into stunning new private quarters at the top of the hub. Amenities include panoramic views of the new world, plenty of storage space for you and your feline friend, a luxurious queen-sized bed, a herb garden, a big tree, and, best of all, an aquarium, fish not included. The only thing to do with all this space is, of course, to fill it with more pets. So get collecting to fill your fish tank, floor, ceiling, and everywhere in between with lots of tiny creatures. It's just as well we don't have to remember to feed. You might have noticed that your fancy new digs isn't the only area in the headquarters you can witness a tree getting ideas above its station. The Botanical Research Centre houses a really old tree that everyone makes a big fuss over, but it's also used to grow a wealth of other items. Stopping by here is definitely worthwhile, as you can leave one of any particular plant, pod, mushroom, or even honey and ask the researcher to cultivate a bunch more for you. This does take some time, but you can boost the results by providing fertilizer, though that isn't totally necessary. Of course, this is mostly useful for rarer items that are harder to come across, but even if you don't have any of those yet, always have something on the go, even if it's just honey. Once you get to know certain maps well, you'll probably know all the sweet spots where you can get what you need for a hunt fairly quickly. But hey, until then, it's free stuff that you can collect at any time on the way to picking up something else. And even if you forget about it, it'll be a nice unexpected windfall when you do stop by again. By far my favourite place on the hub is the canteen, perched way up on top of the map and boasting the best views in all of Astera. Stopping by here before heading off on a hunt is of course an important ritual for any hunter, as of course you get a show as well as dinner. And all meals are supervised by the wonderful Meowscular chef, who puts as much pride into his garnish as he does his gains. What you might not realise at first, however, is that the chef offers up a side dish of a side quest from time to time. You'll need to wander in behind the counter and talk to him there in order to activate them. But most of these requests involve tracking down a number of rare ingredients out in the world for the chef and his team of enthusiastic helpers to add to their ever-expanding menu. This is really worth doing too, as more recipes to choose from mean better stat boosts for you later on down the line. Bon appetit! Believe it or not, hunting monsters isn't just about thwacking them with a weapon until they die and then harvesting their organs to make a natty new hat. That's right, you can actually capture a monster instead of just killing it. Though honestly, the whole process is so convoluted and fiddly, I'm not sure why you'd bother. Especially since you don't even get to wear their skin at the end of it. To be fair though, you do get extra resources for a capture rather than a kill. To capture a monster, you follow and attack for a while until you whittle down their health as usual. Then, you lay a trap either in their path or near their den for them to fall into. And then, you throw tranquilizer at them until they finally go down. See? It's a lot of hassle. Well, a lot more hassle than just hitting them. The one upside of all this, though, is that once a monster is captured, it'll be transported back to the hub and put on display in this enclosure, down near the main entrance and exit, where it'll be goggled at by a bunch of onlookers as it, well, sleeps mainly. Oh god, this is like SeaWorld all over again. Maybe the sweet release of death was a better way for them to go. I regret everything. And that's about everything a new hunter needs to know about their headquarters. If you're still getting to grips with Monster Hunter World, do check out our other videos on choosing your weapon, getting started, and even what not to be scared of. We have non-monster videos too, of course, so do subscribe to Eurogamer if you fancy more daily videos, more previews, more let's plays, more cookery, and more general silliness. We'll see you next time. Thanks for watching. Bye!